83, and is vying for top on it.
You're big. Like, especially when you're on the road, you know, I can
Depends on what day it is.
We trade, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I go like this, the fans will say, "Who's Mr. Big?" And I go, "Oh, I'm Mr. Big." Look over my shoulder to see if anybody else is around. But everybody's Mr. Big in the band.
Yeah, we just kind of, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke name, you know. We just kind of, there's the name of a free song, Mr. Big, you know. So since nobody in the band was really, you know, a Mr. Big guy, we just kind of...
Does anybody come up and say, like, where's Jimmy Hoffa buried or anything like that?
Yeah, and I told him where he was buried, too. You look, the tomato plants are growing extra big there.
In the end zone, giant stadium.
Yeah.
If you read Playboy, actually, you can tell how he was shot and the whole deal.
Nice routine.
But I never read Playboy. I never
think we have to set up things for dinner at Jimmy again. Was it tough to go from being the guy to being one of the members of a band?
Well, it was kind of Mr. Responsibility for about 5 years. In '83, it was Sucker for a Pretty Face. '86, '87, I had 2 Capitol records and soundtracks and stuff. And I hadn't been in the band since '83, so when Billy did call me last year, it was definitely a, you know, it was a shock, it was a surprise. Yeah. Wow, this is the guy in Yankee Rose video. I mean, I really didn't know about Billy. I just knew that, you know, he was the best around, and I wanted to work for the best, and I said yes to his proposition. Let's start a band, and it was, I mean, it's been great ever since. You know, I mean, it's been a long time being in a rock and roll band, but this is also a band full of, you know, Billy and Paul, the caliber of musicians are, you know, it's amazing.
I did listen to a lot of vocalists, too. And I was listening to a lot of people, and nobody was even close to what I was looking for. And then a friend of mine from San Francisco, Mike Varney, who runs a column in Guitar Player magazine, looking for new talent and stuff. He happens to know of a lot of different players and singers, and he said, he'd played me all these people, and I hadn't come up with anyone yet. So finally he says to me one day, let me just play this one guy. I don't think he's available. Let me just see what you think of this voice and tell me if this is what you're looking for. He played me Eric's solo record, which I unfortunately had never heard, and I said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. This, okay, who is it? Who is it? He says Eric Martin. I think he's got a solo deal. I was like, well, can you call and find out? And as it turns out, Eric was just about to get out of one label and start with something else. So there's, you know, ripe for the picking there. So, so I contacted Eric, and after the first phone call, in no time at all, we had Paul Gilbert and Pat Torpey in the band, and we were writing songs. And about 15 months after the first phone call, we actually had the album out, which is, as you know, in the music business, lightning fast.
15 years is normal.
Yeah,
yeah, right.
And plus, you know, we did the record in about a month and a half, and we're out on the road before you know it. And it's wild because one extreme to the other. Here was like 2 years ago, I played in Detroit for about 15 people. And then we played it just the other day, and it was 2,000 people. So
sold out.
I definitely made
yeah, this
right
seems to be working.
Yeah. How about, I mean, how does this translate? I mean, especially the fact you talked about, that Eric mentioned Paul and yourself being real good at what you do. How does that translate to the live show? Do you have your part where you take your bass and do your
routine? Yeah, live show, you know, when you do the record, you kind of, there's not people there. Even though we're doing it live, you don't get that extra ampage from the audience. When we get it now, we always, you know, goose up everything a little bit more and stuff. We had a lot of fun. Paul's, I worked with Steve Vai in the David Lee Roth band, who's an amazing player and a true genius. The difference between he and Paul is more of a club player, which I'm more like, and I play, like I said, the Gasworks and all the places like that. Paul is more like that, so we work together a little bit better than it takes less effort than it did with Steve. You know, where Steve seems to work things out brilliantly, of course, but with Paul it's just kind of automatic, you know. So and Eric too, and our drummer Pat, we've all worked in club bands for years, which a lot of guys who are out there now in club bands and hating life. The one saving grace of it is if something does happen good for you and you're fortunate enough to, you know, have a break, all that experience will not go wasted. I mean, it was really good for me, and we all really consider it good for all of us.
Very good point, because I find that a lot of these bands that hit it when they're 21, 22 years old get real screwed up because they never played the Gasworks. I mean, they went in, their first gig was at Maple Leaf Gardens, and that's got to be a little harmful.
Yeah, it shows. I mean, they get up on stage, and it takes them a while to get going. It takes them like 5 years and 5 tours before they're really a bona fide band.
Yeah. Right, with us, we've been on the road we've done about 25, 30 shows. And we're just getting really used to each other, because when we first got together, we put all of our personalities aside. We've all been like leaders of our own bands and stuff. So we put the personalities aside, concentrated on the songs, got the record out, and then here we are on the road. And we're going, hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
it's good to meet you. Yeah. And so, you know, that first few shows, like we just played in Chicago, and we were saying, thank you, good night, Chicago, I love you, and the whole bit, you know, and running off stage. And I'm in the middle running off, and Paul's behind me and Billy's in front of me, and I decided to go back to the riser, the drum riser, to pick up a couple roses or some T-shirts that people thrown up. And I turned around and I got a big guitar neck right in the face. You know, blood splattering. It was pretty violent, you know.
We're learning each other's moves.
Right, exactly.
It's funny, like the first show we did, you know, we kind of got our feet wet, and we had a couple little problems over here. But right after that, right away, we went on tour. We did a bunch of days with Winger. It kind of just really fell in automatic. Every night was just happened a little bit easier. And I think, like you say, as a result of all the years in clubs, all of having been played under every condition possible. So now we play in a situation that's pretty nice. It's a breeze.
Mr. Big on Q&A.